Let me tell you a story about the day I found out I owed 47 grand in HOA fines for living in a house I'd owned for 12 years despite never joining their HOA in the first place. Wild, right? Imagine me just standing in my kitchen, mug of coffee in hand, squinting at a stack of legal papers that looked like they were written in ancient Greek. Outside, I see Karen Whitmore, HOA president, local legend, and honestly, menace, standing on her flawless lawn, pointing at my house like she's calling in an airstrike. The grass actually sparkled in the morning dew, the kind of sparkle you get when you measure every blade with a ruler. I sipped my coffee and thought, lady, you have no idea what kind of storm you're stirring up. Now, what would you do if someone tried to drag you into an HOA you never signed up for? Ever had a neighbor so determined to control you? They'd invent rules just to see if you'd fold? If you have, trust me, my story is going to make you feel a whole lot better about your own. Before we dig in, I gotta ask, where are you listening from? And do you have a neighborhood tyrant of your own? So, I'm Garrett. 12 years back, I thought I'd finally made it. Bought my piece of the American dream. Turns out, it was more of a nightmare, all orchestrated by a woman who could make actual dictators seem easygoing. Back in 2011, I'd just left the Army after 2 tours in Afghanistan. Used my VA loan to buy a little over 2 acres of land with an old 70s ranch house, once part of the original Hendricks farm. We're talking before subdivisions, before anyone tried to turn everything into matching boxes with plastic mailboxes. My place sits across Willow Creek from Willowbrook Estates, this swanky development that basically marks the border between common sense and suburban madness. That creek is my daily reminder that some lines just aren't meant to be moved by lawyers. I make my living as an independent contractor, electrical work, plumbing, whatever pays the bills. After my divorce, this property became my sanity. I built myself a little workshop. To this day, the smell of sawdust and WD-40 is my favorite kind of therapy. My daughter, Emma, she's 16 now, loves it too. She's got space, she's got the creek, she's got a dad who's actually around. It's not perfect, but it's ours. Then came Karen, the walking, talking fever dream of every HOA. Karen's in her early 50s, drives a white Lexus that's never seen dirt, and runs her 800 grand McMansion kingdom like she's Marie Antoinette with a tape measure. 6 years running the HOA turned her into a full-time surveillance specialist. She knows everybody's garbage day. I swear, she keeps a spreadsheet on who mows their lawn and when. Her husband, Brad, he's the county planning commissioner. File that one away for later. It matters. My first run-in with Karen was at the mailbox. She crossed the street with pearls and fury, clipboard cocked like a sidearm. I heard the crunch of her designer heels before I even saw her face. Your workshop violates neighborhood standards, she barked, zero introduction, just straight to the good stuff. I looked at her, then at my own place, then back at her. Ma'am, I'm not in your HOA. Her smile could have frozen the sun. We'll see about that. That was a year and a half ago. What followed was straight-up psychological warfare. Karen started logging my work hours, photographing every delivery. She'd stand at her window, arms crossed, whenever I so much as fired up a drill, binoculars in hand. But the real trigger? Emma's 16th birthday. Just a barbecue, some friends, nothing crazy. Music until 9:30, all legal. Karen called the police. Twice. Cops found nothing wrong. One even stuck around for a burger, said our party was the tamest disturbance he'd ever seen. Next day, Emma finds a violation notice on my windshield. The paper felt wrong in my hand, too official. It listed my workshop, my fence, and my driveway as unapproved modifications, $500 a pop. Emma just stared at it. Dad, she's lost it. She wasn't wrong. Here's the thing about Karen. She'd bet I'd cave, just like every other working-class family she'd strong-armed. Tear down my workshop, pay the fines, shut up. But Karen skipped a step. She never checked the county records. If she had, she'd have saved herself a world of pain. My property? officially excluded from her HOA. But narcissists never double-check. They just charge ahead. I poured myself another coffee, wandered to the fence, and stared across that creek at Karen's kingdom. "You just started a war with the wrong guy," I told the wind. A few days later, Karen launches her first strike, an official violation notice delivered certified mail. This was no scribbled complaint. This was color-printed, legal paper, the works. Each violation, $500, 30 days to comply or face escalating enforcement. I almost respected the commitment, but I went straight to the courthouse. The air in there always smells like old paper and grudges. Dorothy, the clerk, helped me pull the original deed from 1970. Back in the Army, we had a saying, "Trust your primary sources." Well, turns out my property line predated Willowbrook Estates by 40 years. Surveys said I'm 47 feet outside their jurisdiction. I even called the HOA management company. No record of my address, not in their system. "Sir, if you're not in our database, you're not in our HOA." Easy math. Did Karen back down? Not a chance. 2 days later, she showed up with her brother-in-law, Rick. He had a tape measure and the world's worst cologne. They tried to convince me the creek had migrated and that we needed to re-establish boundaries. I just held up my certified survey. Water doesn't move property lines. Karen turned beet red. We'll see what my attorney says. But while Karen was bluffing, I was learning. Turns out, Mrs. Patterson, my neighbor, 83 years old and sharp as a tack, invited me for coffee. Her kitchen smelled like vanilla and the kind of justice that comes with age. She told me the original subdivision plans always excluded my land for environmental reasons. But Brad, Karen's husband, pushed through approvals for his own construction company. He'd built 60% of those houses. Karen's next move? Another violation notice, this time claiming my property was a nuisance hurting values. She brought in a law firm that charges by the ounce of intimidation. But the tide was turning. The Kowalski family approached me at the grocery store, whispering like we were plotting a coup. Turns out, Karen forced them to tear down their kid's swing set, $8,000 gone. Other families, like the Rodriguez family, just moved away rather than fight. The pattern was clear: target the ones who couldn't afford to push back. But Karen's harassment campaign was writing my case for me. Every email, every phone call, every fake violation, I documented everything. The creek just kept flowing as if to say, "Keep your cool. Let her dig her own hole." Then came the heavy artillery, a thick envelope from her law firm, demanding I stop all unauthorized activities and allow them to install proper boundary markers on my land. The logic was insane. But in the Army, we called this escalation through paperwork. The goal: exhaust you into submission. I hired Janet Reeves, an attorney known for defending veterans and eating bullies alive. She laughed out loud reading Karen's letter. "This is harassment on a silver platter," she said. She fired off a counter letter, citing property law and harassment statutes, and reminded Karen that what she was demanding was called attempted trespass. Karen didn't take it well. She called an emergency HOA meeting, whipping up panic about my illegal business. Truth is, I did run contract jobs out of my workshop, but all legal, licensed, insured, and properly zoned. Still, Karen cranked up the rumor mill, warning neighbors about the dangerous contractor. Then, county code enforcement started dropping by, responding to anonymous complaints. Phillips, the inspector, just shook his head. "Your place is cleaner than most commercial jobs I see." But Karen wasn't done. My security cameras caught Rick, her brother-in-law, sneaking onto my property at dawn, placing fake survey stakes to make it look like my workshop encroached on the HOA. When I confronted him, he just bolted. Emma started getting nervous. Karen was now timing her surveillance drives to coincide with Emma's walk to the bus stop. One morning, Emma caught her taking pictures with a telephoto lens. "Dad, this is creepy." I told him not to worry, but inside I was furious. Things exploded online. The Willowbrook Neighbors Facebook group turned into a battlefield. Karen's supporters posted about property values, but more and more folks started sharing their own stories of HOA harassment. Mrs. Patterson, the queen of quiet resistance, let me know she'd been recording HOA meetings for years, just in case. Turns out, she had the goods. Then, the nuclear option. Sheriff's deputy knocks on my door, serving me papers, $47,000 in fines, and a lawsuit demanding I join the HOA, obey all their rules, and pay up. Sitting in Janet's office, watching her read the complaint, I saw her anger go from simmering to boiling. She started digging into Karen's background. Turns out, Karen had done this before, filed 6 boundary disputes, forced 3 families out, ruined the Rodriguez family with legal fees. She was a serial predator, targeting folks who couldn't afford to fight. But Karen was about to go too far. She went to the local news, called in favors, staged photo ops of herself defending property values, and pointing at my workshop. The Channel 7 headline, HOA Battle Divides Neighborhood. No interview with me. She told them I was unavailable. That was news to me. The best part? Emma's friend Madison, Kowalski's daughter, was our inside agent. During sleepovers, she picked up everything. Karen had promised neighbors lower fees if they supported her. Madison even recorded Karen bragging about her plan to get rid of that contractor. That recording would later be the nail in her coffin. That's when things turned ugly. Roofing nails scattered across my driveway, tires punctured. Emma's car keyed, moves scratched right across the door. Flyers showed up, warning about unlicensed electrical work. State licensing board was called. Nothing found. Still, my business took a hit. Clients got nervous. My income dropped. The psychological warfare was working, or so Karen thought. She never counted on one thing. I'd survived Afghanistan. Compared to that, this was amateur hour. Janet's team found the smoking gun. 2009 planning documents, environmental studies, all proving my property was intentionally excluded from the subdivision. Brad and Karen knew it. They just hoped no one would check. But Sarah, Janet's paralegal, dug up a crucial note. Brad had been specifically warned in writing that including my land would violate federal law. Then, they found something even dirtier, a signature from a previous owner, dated 6 months after his death. It was forged. Brad and Karen had used a dead man's signature to rope me into their HOA. Janet pulled up Karen's financials. Her mansion was teetering on foreclosure. Every violation she enforced kept her house above water. Mrs. Patterson's tapes were the final piece. In Karen's own words, just keep the pressure up until he moves. People like that can't afford lawyers. She wasn't just running an HOA. She was running a racket. We gathered the neighborhood. Janet mapped out the plan, dismissed Karen's lawsuit, countersue for harassment, request an injunction to stop all HOA fee collection, and dropped the evidence bomb. Fraud, forgery, conspiracy. Mrs. Patterson's tapes were transcribed, security footage queued, financial records ready. Word spread fast. The electricians' union and local veterans groups backed me up. Even 3 current board members agreed to testify against Karen. Janet prepped the media. Sarah Morgan, a reporter who specialized in municipal corruption, got the story ready for the public. Then came a showdown. County Planning Commission hearing, packed room, news cameras, neighbors on both sides. Karen went first, weeping over community values and children's safety. Her consultant flashed charts and photos, but when a county engineer asked if she was really claiming the creek had moved 30 feet, she floundered. My turn, property deeds, surveys, environmental studies, Mrs. Patterson's tapes, all laid out with military precision. The forensic expert proved the signature was forged. Karen went white as a sheet. By the time Janet held up the original exclusion document, signed by Karen and Brad themselves, the room was dead silent. Karen lost it, screaming about fake news and conspiracies. Security had to escort her out. The commission voted Unanimous. Willowbrook Estates' HOA was legally void, all fines and liens nullified, environmental remediation ordered, and criminal charges forwarded to the DA. Outside, the whole neighborhood celebrated. Mrs. Patterson set up a barbecue. For the first time in years, people laughed without looking over their shoulders. But Karen's problems had just begun. Investigators found 12 more fraudulent HOAs in 3 states. Janet helped pass new laws for oversight. Emma started speaking at state hearings, telling the world how standing up to bullies protects everyone. Karen lost her house, her husband, and her reputation. The Environmental Fund named a scholarship after Willow Creek. My daughter? She's stronger, more confident. Our neighborhood, now a real community, no rulers, just people helping people. I watch the creek run by, clean and free, and think sometimes justice really does catch up. Sometimes the good guys win, and it's even better when the whole neighborhood stands up with you. Now it's your turn. Ever face down a neighborhood dictator? Got a story about HOA madness or small-town tyranny? Drop it below. Let's show the Karens of the world what happens when people refuse to be intimidated. Because the only thing more powerful than a bully with a clipboard is a community that says no more. What do you think? Is justice just revenge with a fancier name? Where's the line between community standards and control? I want to hear your take and your stories too.